All right, let's share screen. I'll cover a technique and strategy. So this is for all the US based people. All right, this is for the US based people. Right, the lead to help section, you're gonna find a section on Jornaya, trusted form. So Jornaya, however you say that. Jornaya. All right, I'm gonna cover that. And trusted form is the other one. And there's trust. Okay, we'll do that. And the other third one is help again. And we have trusted form, right? Right, so there was a question earlier today about how, or last week, over the weekend, I should say, it was LeadZook is not saving any fields. And so I did a deep dive over the weekend just to make sure that we don't have any issues per se regarding this. So I'll just go through the trusted form one. It's probably the most popular one. Jornaya is just as popular as well. So what I wanted to share here is this is for the US based users who want to who need this for their TCPA compliance. This is where you're grabbing phone numbers without a third-party verification that the phone number that you got has been generated from the lead themselves, and not you've harvested some from phone number from some list or bought some third-party list that you are trying to sell to. These lists are getting hit by litigation companies in the US. And so if you're not careful, you could be receiving a letter from an alphabet agency. We've been involved, as in not LeadZook personally, but I've been involved in providing a lot of data to a few users where they've received a letter saying, hey, prove to us that this number has not been harvested somewhere. So having trusted form makes a difference. Right, now the question was, why isn't my field saving? And so all of these work basically like any other third-party tracking system. You have got almost like a base pixel, this thing here, and then on the node you fire your event. So it's like let's say this is like a Facebook pixel, and then you're going to fire like a conversion event, or you fire a view content event. It works in a fairly similar way. That's a good analogy, not exactly the same thing. And so what it does is this particular thing, it'll generate a certificate for you, i.e. a URL, that if you go to, it looks like actually like a certificate. For those who don't know, if I just go trusted form certificate, trusted form certificate, you'll see it looks a little bit like this. I'll bring one up here. There you go. It looks a little bit like this, right? And you can if you click that little button, then you can view your decision tree or your landing page and all that kind of stuff. And it stores all the information about what the URL was, the date and time, and all that kind of stuff. And so essentially, when you get a letter from some alphabet agency or some law firm, I should say, that hey, you've violated this, or prove that you haven't violated, then you just show them this and they kind of go away. Or at least seems to be the process. All right, so how do you set this up? Now, as with any pixel and event structure, your event does not work if your pixel doesn't fire, because the event relies on the pixel. Because if you have a look at the event, and let's look at the trusted form here, if you look at the trusted form here, it actually doesn't have any links. There's no links to an external site. There's no external URL. So this is really just a script of just a very small script that relies upon this having fired first. Now this one here does actually fire from a third party, right? That's the trusted form's own site is loading the script in this case and generating the certificate and all the other screenshots and all the other stuff that it does. So if you fire this without this, nothing's going to happen, right? Because it actually it actually doesn't know what to do, basically. Now, what it's actually doing is this is generating the certificate. This particular is grabbing the certificate and saving it into a custom field. That's the DT set field that we have, right? So we're grabbing it, saving it. That's what we're doing. And then this is what you will pass to your third-party lead distribution platform or system that you have that's out there. And therefore, and then when you send it to your client will then claim it. And that's how they pay for the service. So the generation, there's nothing to pay, or at least has not been so far, unless that's changed. But the payment is basically done or is required by the person who's claiming the certificate. So i.e. the buyer of the lead. It's a nice little model. So anybody can generate the certificates. And when you sell them, and once the certificate is claimed, then if I try and claim the same thing, so let's say this, my claim URL is, where is it? It's sitting, should be sitting, there you go, right there. If I try and claim it again, that certificate ID, it'll say, oops, sorry, this certificate has already been claimed. That assures any lead buyer that I'm getting an exclusive lead and that nobody else out there has got this lead as well. Because obviously when they go to claim, it'll tell them that this certificate has already been claimed, since you can only generate one certificate per visit. And that's essentially how it keeps sort of everybody honest, so to speak. All right, now, so going back to leads hook, under the script section, I will add a Jornaya trusted form, whatever the heck it is. It looks a bit like this. And then what I do is on the node itself, I will fire my thing to save it into it. Now, as you can see here, I put into exit. The mistake that that I saw that was made was it was actually fired on entry, like so. And so what happens is you can see all these leads coming through, and you can see like some of them have got the certificates missing. It looks like somehow either leads hook is not working or something's not working. And what's actually happening is if your main script, if this script here, if this, not that one, oops, not that one. If this script here runs with any latency, sorry, if this script runs with any latency, let's say it's taking 4 seconds to actually trigger the actual script, and you've already moved on to the second node or third node, or your leader, I should say, has moved on to the second or third node, really, this is not going to fire because there's no context, because this wasn't fired first. So, and based on the testing we've done is yeah, usually it loads less than 1 second, but it can load in 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. You've got Google Tag Manager. You may have all sorts of tracking scripts in place. All of those chews up a little bit of time to load up. And as a result, this may not fire. And this has already fired well before this has. So therefore, it looks like something's broken, something's not working. When the fix is actually quite easy, all you got to do is just fire that script that saves it. Or instead of entry, you want to fire it on exit. That way, it gives it time for that other one to load up. The other place to put it, so either you fire it on exit here, but my preferred approach is to put it somewhere after the first or second node. By the time that script that you put in the head section has already been fired and went ahead, and you can go ahead and at your own leisure generate it somewhere in between there and where you actually need it. Of course, the last place you can put it is actually on exit here. That's the another place that you can put it, and that would be the last place you can, obviously, because after that you are sending it in a webhook, so it needs to be available. But the worst place to put it is on the entry of the first node because of that issue that I just shared. Right, so I hope that kind of explains it very clearly, what the issue is when setting up these things. And not just this is for any tracking script. You know, I'm just giving an example here with Jornaya trusted form for TCPA compliance. And that's it. And so as long as you set that up in that manner with the order of priority, you won't have any problems whatsoever with it working. In fact, in the one that I reviewed, they were firing one on entry and then stopping over here and saying, hey, it didn't generate. But if you looked at, but they had, thankfully, they had actually added one right on entry on the form itself. So that sort of had something like this. And as a result, obviously by this stage, that main script has run or has had time to execute. By the time they get to the form, it's already generated, and 100% of the leads that were sent to the webhook or lead distribution platform had a certificate. So there was no missing custom fields or leads anywhere. because they'd already fired one right at that stage before they send it to their lead distribution platform. All right, any questions on this application before I open it up to broad questions around this? Any of our US guys? Your hand, Justin. Any questions on this? Jonathan?
No, good.
Oh, good. All right. Awesome. Cool. I'll stop sharing and feel free to ask anything you want. We've got 45 minutes together, if not more. Any questions? Feel free to ask.
About this topic specifically or anything?
Anything. Open it up. Let's go.
I have a question about media buying and campaign
Yes.
like pixel tracking.
Yep.
So there's two type of campaign. We do leads generation and calls.
Okay.
What pixel conversion should we fire on a lead
Or
and on
okay. So on the lead gen side. Okay. So let me quickly.
I can kind of elaborate a little bit.
Sure.
Right.
Please.
So,
Thank
so we typically go through either a form that asks multiple questions. For example, like the one that you brought up earlier, are you a homeowner? Yes or no? If
Yep.
you're running a Facebook campaign, you're setting things up for pixel fires or what's called events, right?
Yep.
On the media buy side, would you think that you should set up a pixel for the questions that are being asked? So, for example, if we're looking for homeowners, would we set up a separate pixel or quote unquote an event for anytime someone selects homeowner?
Yes, you would.
And
And
would you
here's the
do
reason why. Yeah. Okay. So basically what you do. I'm just gonna put some fake numbers in here. Let's say Facebook, because you brought that up. So I'm gonna just go here. I'm just gonna put that. All right. Let's assume that's the setup. And what I've got now is I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna fire on exit, for example. Now what it's actually doing is, if you look at your GTM container, we're actually passing this. We pass the answer and we pass all of this information to Facebook and Google and whatever else that you pick. And so what it does, it allows you to now use that as a way to manage your audience building and your custom conversion. So what I mean by that is you can use these answers, every node level's answers, inside your custom audiences. All right, so custom audience. There you go. How to create a custom audience with the standard events using the answers that you have. So if you go to this section down here, if you keep going, and you will see that we actually pass the answers. So you can actually build an audience with the answer to exclude if let's say, for example, they've answered something in some way and you don't want them in your funnel. You can actually build maybe a 1% lookalike audience or something to get them out. Alternatively, you can say, hey, listen, you know what? The people who answer the question A in this way, B in this way, and C in this, or question 1, 2, and 3 in this particular manner, they seem to have a very high probability of conversion in our funnel. Well, why don't we build an audience with those three events and parameters, and build an audience around that and see what Facebook gives us. Obviously, it doesn't work all the time, but that would be a unique way, and you'll be the only guy on the planet with that audience, actually, because it's the unique combination that has come from your live funnel and conversion data. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's where I was kind of thinking. And then would you do the same thing with, can you set up a negative? Would you track an event like, so you're trying to get homeowners, right? But if they select renters, would you create an event for that and keep that as like a negative audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, what you should do, or you could do, or I recommend that you do, since you are in the United States, for the British audience, maybe not so much. Your rules are different. Okay, so owner, right? So let's say right here, I might just come here and add, for example, a redirect URL, and like so, and I'm going to redirect to, not to Disney, but you get the idea. You can, I'm going to go redirect to my offer wall, like so, and boom. And all of a sudden, what happens is that person is redirected automatically to their own little garden pathway. And it could be that, you know, hey, welcome. Since you're not a homeowner, but you qualify for, I don't know, discounts on all kinds of stuff that help you fight the inflation that's all that, and kind of whatever the position you want to take, and then answer the quick questions to quickly and easily win I don't know, giveaways, sweepstakes, discounts, sort of almost making it a monetary thing. And you can really use that as a way to profile the person. You know, you got credit card debt, you got home insurance, you got life insurance, you got kids, you got debt, student debt, you got blah 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 blah, whatever, all the different bits and pieces. And that gives you a fairly good profile of what it is. You can obviously simultaneously show the best offer that matches up to them right away. That's the first thing you can do. Secondly, obviously, now you got yourself not just a name, email, and phone number, but you got name, phone number, and all these other details about them, and you can mail them till the end of Earth or the planet or whatever until they unsubscribe. And that would be how I would deal with those people who are not. Of course, you're firing a pixel there as well, so you can actually put them as a negative audience if you want to, but then now you can start also monetizing that other group of people that don't qualify for your primary funnel.
Great.
Does that answer the question?
I think it's pretty clear for me. I'm not sure if anybody else wants to elaborate or.
Okay. Okay, sure. Jonathan, did that answer the question?
For the leads, yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Now, on the call side, all right, because I know you had a question about calls. So let me quickly bring that up. And all right, so pay per call, ring bar, there you go. Now, this is also no different to, there's no difference between the two, all right, as far as I'm concerned. It's just tracking and pixels. Here, what you do is you would, that's the setup inside Ringbar. I won't worry about that too much. What you want to do is you will do this basically. Now, just use ChatGPT to make adjustments here. Essentially, what it is it's a way for you to essentially display the phone number that's coming back from Ringbar. So Ringbar is going to give you a number from the pool. And what you're doing with that phone number is you are giving it an ID, which is right here, phone call. Then what you do is you actually fire that as a node level script. So you actually add that as a node level script. So when someone clicks the button, in which case it's called the ID of phone call, it actually triggers an event for a conversion, right? So it's a little bit different because obviously in the case of a pay per call campaign, you want to be able to hit the call button, and that's the trigger for the conversion event. And that's all this setup is showing you here is how do you ensure that it's on the click of the button is when you're triggering the conversion event, not landing on the page. Because obviously I can land on the page, you show me a phone number, I don't click, that's not really a conversion. The conversion for the purpose of pay-per-call campaigns is actually to actually do, when you hit the button. Now you can also have a conversion event on when the phone call comes into the call center. You can also fire something there if you want. And then obviously you can do one after your call reaches buffer or gets to sale or whatever the next step in the process is. But those would be server-side conversions because obviously they'll be controlled from Ringbar itself and nothing to do with LeadsHook or any of the client-side stuff that the person is seeing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
One more question about the GTM setup on the nodes. If we split test same, what is it? Same offers, same campaign, but different decision trees. Are we using the same GTM setup?
You can. That's your call as to what GTM setup you use. If you want to use, usually what I recommend is if it's the same vertical, same all that stuff, you use the same. Okay, so let's go back to. I'm using the same pixel. If you're using the same pixel, then obviously it's going to be the same one. If the pixels are starting to differ, then obviously you can always use a different one for that. As far as the tracking is concerned, that's independent of split testing. You can split test however you want. And obviously, depending on which DT you land on, it's going to trigger that specific GTM container. We've got users who have the same GTM container across multiple DTs. Others do one per each. Some do one per vertical, and obviously different verticals means different GTM containers. That seems to be the most common setup. But it depends on sort of how whatever your tracking philosophy is and what you want to do. Obviously, there's no right or wrong answer because for every solution you have, there's going to be a very good counter argument. So the point is, how do you like to see your data? and how do you like to consolidate the information that you're sending to the traffic, the ad networks. Usually, as far as the ad networks are concerned, such as Facebook, Google, whatever, it's good not to dilute things. So you don't want to. But having said that, we do have people who train multiple pixels at the same time, and they use one GTM container, but they'll have two Facebook tags inside their GTM container, or four, or whatever it is, and all four of them are firing simultaneously. And what they're doing essentially is using one campaign's traffic source, so or one pixel that they're using to keep other pixels and other ad accounts constantly sort of warmed up, I guess, or upgraded or whatever. So that way, should an account get banned, they can easily switch over to another one, because that other account now is not starting from zero data. It's got quite a lot of information data that has been passed through. So that's one reason to duplicate stuff. But generally speaking, I recommend if you're not using that specific strategy, or that's not part of what you're working on, then just keep it simple and just use one. Does that answer the question?
Yes, yes, yes. And
Right.
so you said you select, you check mark everything you want here in the GTM, then you download the container to GTM. Doesn't matter
That's
what
it.
you do in the notes, right? You can do it after the fact.
Yeah, of course, if you don't have anything clicked today, then the data from today won't get there. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but so I just want to state that. But obviously, if I click everything now, then it'll start passing everything now. So what I normally say to people is, like, listen, if you're not sure, just click the damn thing. You know what? Facebook can worry about how much data it collects. It's not your problem. That's their cost, not yours. So just pass it to them. If you don't need it, great. You don't need it. It doesn't affect your DTs in any particular way. There's no performance impact. There's none of that stuff. Everything will continue to work. But let's say tomorrow you decide, hey man, I've just learned that these answers are giving us conversions, or these answers are giving us non-conversions. I'd like to do something about that. Well, if the data is not available, then you can't do much about that. Of course, you can still take the emails and all this stuff, but sometimes that email idea, it doesn't quite work, because what if you have a whole lot of people dropping off before you got to email? Then really you got nothing to upload. This is where your events that you're firing in each node really makes a difference.
Got it.
Does that make sense? Cool. Honor, you had a question. I see your mic unmuted. Nope.
Sorry, Nick.
Okay,
No,
cool.
no. I was
All
doing
good?
something. I pressed the button. Yeah, all good, man.
Okay,
All good.
right.
I'm
Awesome.
enjoying the stuff today. It's fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Sven. Good to hear from you. Right. There's anybody else? Happy to unmute and ask. Otherwise, we'll continue the conversation that has continued so far.
I'm not sure if Jonathan asked, but I had a question regarding, we use a system called Leadspedia for all our lead management. And in Leadspedia, it determines if which lead is sold to which buyer. But in some cases, we have leads that go unsold. Is there a way for the pixel to fire when a lead is sold?
Yeah, I saw you answer, Nick.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did. Yeah. Answer right here. There you go.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Trevor, Paul, Jay, hey, good to see you. Eric. Nope.
Oh, I guess how is AI coming along?
Yeah, good. Yeah, so the landing page builder, we should be releasing it soon. We've got another 2 or 3 updates to do. The performance is really rocketing now. It's we're getting about 97, 98 on most DTs. So we're back to, well, not back to normal. We've surpassed what our previous record was. So we've got another few more changes. I've kept the team focused on that. We just want to, because we've seen, so here's what happened, right? So when we had some wobbles around about the 9th of Feb, a lot of people report like, man, their lead costs went up, and that was a shitty moment for us. And so it's like, you know what, we really got to get on top of this and fix it as fast as possible. So we did, and it's and we've added in obviously a lot of the changes in, because we wanted to make sure that everything was running really smoothly. Their lead costs have dropped below what it was before the issue happened. So, and in some cases, I've had a few people report it's been about another 10 to 15 or 20% below what they previously, their low mark was. And they've changed nothing, same campaign. So page speed seems to have a massive impact in terms of your lead cost. And so it's too much of a low-hanging fruit for us to neglect or go down a rabbit hole of trying to give you some AI crap when that is the easiest win, i.e. if you're spending let's say, I don't know, $500,000 a month, a 10% off, pays per lead for a couple of decades. So if you get my drift. Or buys you a Ferrari, or a few, I should say, two maybe by the end of the year at that level. So that's the reason why we haven't released it yet. It's actually done. We just want to make sure we do some final testing before we release it. But otherwise, yeah, should be done soon. If you're looking for something to use right away, then I'd say, listen, hey, please go ahead and use WordPress or Unbounce or ClickFunnels or whatever the tool that you use normally to play with. Go ahead and do that. Most people that I know inside LeadsHook that are doing any volume. So there's a couple of guys that I know that at the 4 to 5 mil a month ad spend range. They use WordPress, and their setup is essentially a good host. We were with Rocket. There's also DigitalOcean. There's a few of them out there, but it's really important to keep your plugins to an absolute minimum and not to bloat the thing with just a whole bunch of stuff. So Genesis Press is probably the best combination to use. So a good host with Genesis, I think it's Genesis Press. Hopefully I got that right. No, maybe I got that wrong. WordPress. Maybe it's Genesis Pro. Ah, crap. Let me get back to you. Yeah, no, it is Genesis. Sorry, it says Genesis. Yeah, Genesis Blocks. It's that framework that has got a fairly thin. It's got a very thin, sort of WordPress theme, and so it keeps your pages pretty fast. So I would do that. Plus, the other reason for why I recommend WordPress is because there's, I don't know, seems like a million WordPress guys on Upwork. So any cost that you would incur to develop that would be actually quite cheap. If you move away from that ecosystem, then obviously prices start going up with necessary benefit. So,
question about your new AI thing. What does it do exactly?
what does it do?
Yeah, what's AI now?
Yeah. So you basically write what kind of landing page you want, and it'll build the whole page for you.
Do you have an example you can show us?
Yeah. Can I? All right. Let me just see if I can bring it up here. I think I made a video about it. I'll link you to the video. All right. I'll make a short video and I'll add it to the thing if I haven't already. But I think there was a video that I shared a few days ago.
Sure.
But the main focus is not so much, well, the AI part, it helps you out, so you don't see a blank screen, all that kind of stuff. No, everyone hates blank screens. But the main value of the benefit is that we've ensured that we've kept the philosophy of everything we've learned about really fast page speeds. We've taken that learning into the page builder, and that's the main value add, is that it's not bloated and it's been designed ground up for speed. And we'll keep it that way because that's what we've learned. Because the impact on your lead cost is almost, I think it's like 3 days, between 3 to 5 days. Like if your lead costs are going up, then there's something wrong. Obviously, it could be something of the ad network or whatever. But we've seen it takes about 3 to 5 days, and essentially the numbers start getting hit when you don't have an optimized experience. And so we're obviously well aware of that, and we want to make sure that we keep to that. And so we learned a lot in V2 and page speeds. So we've taken the architecture into our page builder. Obviously, the AI part, because the option we had is, do we give you 101 templates? And we looked at ourselves trying to use, and most templates become useless after a while. They either become outdated or they just, or they're not quite what you want. So then what you do is you take a template and you spend about another 5 hours trying to get it done. So the answer here was, so then I had a look and we could see what the AI stuff was doing in terms of your ability to prompt and generate stuff. So, well, why don't we just give people an ability to ask or answer a bunch of questions, and we'll use that data to build it out. So that's the main value add. The value is not so much the build side. If you build lots of landing pages, they all look the same, so you can kind of pretty much build on your own. But the main value add is the page speed side of it, because a lot of the new products we've seen that have come out, they're bloated, and so you while it's all fancy, it just doesn't quite perform for lead generation. All right. Any other questions?
Nick, when it comes to like the debt vertical, if we wanted to do a soft pull, like, did you have any insight into any third parties that might have that capability?
Yeah, can I get back to you? I'll post about it in the group. I don't recall. Yeah, I know there is one or two out there. I don't recall. You mean the API, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, cool. As soon as I find it, I'll post in the leads group for anyone else who's interested. Yeah, done. Leave it with me. I'll make a note of that. And oh, sorry, I got a question in the chat. Did I miss something? Video page. Yeah, okay, yeah, cool. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Nick, I've got a quick one if it's okay.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people move away from multi-part forms into single page long forms.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering, has anyone on the call or in your experience, have you seen multi-part forms working better than single page long forms in financial services?
So you mean to say me adding in first name, last name, email, phone number, yada, 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 all on the one page?
All on the one page, yeah, like earnings.
Yeah, okay, well, I suppose the right answer is to split test. Having said that, I do see the branded people do it, like Fidelity Investments, all that sort of stuff. But look at what they're relying on, right? They've got billions of dollars of equity and recognition in the marketplace that they are piggybacking off to. So even if they have you like a 500-page freaking form, people might fill it out because of the sheer trust factor that goes with it. So outside of those sort of use case, I haven't seen them outperform in any material basis. Maybe there's a couple of back-end campaigns that you might do, i.e. someone you may have familiarity with, so someone you have a relationship with, or any of the big brands. Outside of those two, I haven't seen any consistent performance. Sure, you can probably come up with some counter examples every so often where it's performed. But if you are suspecting that could be something that works for you, then definitely test it out. But the issue is this is the great equalizer, right? This device. And unfortunately, that's the one for which a multi-part thing works, because it keeps you lazy and just keep clicking away, rather than the form, which means you're going to bring a scroll in, which almost always drops response. Now, based on the psychological research out there, whenever you're selling hedonic products, i.e. selling, fur or, I don't know, Louis Vuitton or whatever, making people work a bit harder sometimes increases the conversion. So sometimes you can add friction in to enhance conversions. It does happen, and they call them the hedonic product group. But that doesn't quite apply in most cases. I mean, as in if you're doing solar or debt refi or any of that sort of stuff, then that won't really apply. But if you're doing, let's say, luxury goods or whatever, then perhaps that can apply, because the guilt associated with buying, or at least some part of the audience has guilt about buying that sort of stuff, increasing the steps they take makes them feel they've earned it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Is there a way in Leads Hook to, if I build out the API, build out the form as a multi-part, is there a way to then combine it, stack it, and make it a long form so I can easily test it using Leads Hook?
Yeah. Okay, so here you go. I'll build one in right now.
Amazing.
I am sharing. Yeah, build it right now. Here you go. Split test long form versus split form. Right, let's put it that way. Okay, so I would, I'm just going to do a very small one just to show you how that would work. Let's say this is going to be my long form. Oops, sorry, wrong node. Come here, grab the form node. Sometimes I forget where my own nodes are. All right, form, there you go. Okay, so this is going to be the long form. Let's say for argument's sake, we have first name, last name, email, and let's say, I don't know, let's say my date of birth or something. All right, so that would be my long form example, like so. So I'll probably build that first and then just clone it and do 4 different versions. Come here, clone again, 3, and clone one more time, and 4. I'll get rid of this one. And now I'll come here, and in this one, I'll untick these. So first name, save. This one's going to be last name. Obviously, change the name there, and there. And like so. Come over here and do this one. 1, 2. I think that's the third one. Yep, and the last one is the other one. Okay, cool. So I should have probably changed the name to short before I cloned it, but anyway, you get the idea. All right. Yeah. So then what you do is you add a decision node right up the front here.
Yeah.
You create a new field called a random number generator. So I'll just come over here to custom field and go to answer and go to rand. And there you go. There's my random number generator. Of course, I guess I've got 2 here. I just created this field. All it is rand int 0 to the 100. So random with a capital I integer. And that's just a function that the math library that we use has. And you first, that's the lower bound, that's the upper bound. If you remove the int, then it turns into a real number. So it'll be like, 0.0025, 1.525, whatever it is. And that would be the other way to generate it. And all you're doing 0 to the 100. And all I'm doing now is over here is just setting up my random number generator. And I'm going to be doing split. Let's say if I'm doing just A and B, then it'll be split test. All right. Then I just go rand. Let's pick that one is less than and equal to 50. So that's my A, which is less than 50. And then obviously if it's not less than 50, then it'll be greater than 50. So that's the other side. So A comes here, B comes here. Obviously I'll connect all of them, 2 of them up like so.
Yep.
And then yeah, that's it. And now obviously I'm going to put my thank you page. I can keep them separate. So that way it just makes it nice and easy for you to see your numbers. So we're going to go thank you like so. Or thank you A, thank you. Okay, sorry, that's my, all right, come here and duplicate that, and that's it. So you would do something that looks like this. And obviously when you run it for a week or 2 or whatever it is, you press the analytics button, it'll show you how many people came through here, and then how many people ended up here. And then you just get any split testing tool online, plug the 2 numbers in, or 4 numbers in, I should say, which is how many people came here, and how many people converted, how many people arrived, how many people converted, and they'll give you a statistically significant result. And that would be how you would set up the whole split test.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. That's actually
No
really,
problem.
really helpful.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I didn't know
And
you
a good test too. Yeah, no, so actually report back. Let me know if you find something that is obviously we can entertain both options. So so do the long form. But yeah, so anyway, I mentioned the reasons when I've seen them work reasonably well. But otherwise multi-step. If it's mobile traffic, then usually multi-step's gonna win.
Yeah, it's lone traffic, but usually what I've seen previous tests is that multi-step was working a lot less, but now I'm seeing a lot of people running multi-step forms. So I thought, has something changed?
Yeah, I suppose the one thing that maybe it works is where you have these many fields. And so, Because usually we do multi-step when we're doing questions and answers, right? Like, are you male or female? Yes or no? Are you buying or renting? And all that sort of stuff, which are easier to sort of, easier to just have an option where you're clicking either button A or button B or C. A form, a form of the guys that I know that are doing significantly high volumes, because I do end up running, campaign reviews with them. We rarely see a drop off. For example, let's say if 50 people came here, then about, I don't know, 40 will drop out here. So it's never really that much of a loss that's gone through this structure. Having said that, we've never really done the other side. Maybe we'll save those 10 that dropped off. And so maybe that's a valid point. So yeah, right. Maybe something to test.
Yeah, I was just thinking stickiness, because once they start the multi-part, they're invested. So it's like, oh, let me just only one more stage. They might go through to the end.
Well, test it out, right? That's the joy of marketing, right? Yeah, we test it out when we see any counter examples. But having said that, a lot of the cases you find where A worked versus B didn't work or whatever, we got to look at it with a grain of salt, in the sense that not the result is fake, but the fact that the circumstance or the boundary conditions under which that result is true is not global. Like, just because my blue website worked, therefore, if you make your website blue, it'll work for you as well. And that's usually how a lot of these split testing results are used, not realizing the context within which the result was. So the frame has to be the results have to be seen in the frame.
Yeah, we have to limit, so it has to be either mobile only or desktop only or something. But we've got to limit the environment. Okay, cool. Thanks, Nick. Really helpful, mate.
No worries. No, awesome. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Nope.
Hey, Nick, I do actually. When I don't know, maybe you might have some insight or not, but when it comes to, home improvement, things of that nature in the US, and people are running, different traffic types, whether it be Facebook, native, are you finding most direct linking, or are you finding those sending to a pre-sale page? And have you seen any differences as far as performance goes on the back end?
So generally speaking, native is direct, is to a pre-sale page, an editorial of some sort, maybe some sort of story. That seems to be normally what works. Having said that, I have seen circumstances where just direct just worked, but in that case, your native ad or the ad would be very offer related. So, save extra or whatever, save. So you got to realize that the conversation of the ad needs to match up with the starting point of the lander. So the ad is about, hey, get 50% off over 50s, life insurance, get free insurance. Okay, great. You know what? That kind of tells me what this is about. So if I land, enter your details to get a free whatever, Obamacare or whatever, discount. And so that, or for that matter, home care or whatever, home service, whatever it be. So really start from the conversation you're starting in the ad, and let that dictate whether you land with a pre-sale page or not. Obviously, native by its nature, you cannot have too much of a conversation. That's why it usually goes to a pre-sale page. But you can do a pre-sale with a mix. So what I mean by that is you have a pre-sale page with a floating kind of decision tree on the side. I'll see if I can find it. Let's see. I think there was one here, over 50s life insurance. There's one guy here that's been running the same damn thing for the last like 10,000 years here in Australia. It seems like it is. Let me see if I can quickly find him. Usually just typing in life insurance gets the guy's I think could be Compare Club, one of these ones. All right, I think it's this guy here. Could be this guy. Okay, let's check. No, not this one.
Nick, you're talking about the guy with the ambulance photo.
I'm sorry?
You're talking about the guy with the ambulance photo.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it.
Let me see.
Sitting in front of.
See if I can find
yes. Anyway, usually I find him. Actually, I'll tell you where I can find him. I can find him here. News.com.au. He's usually sitting at the bottom of the page. Okay, let's see if I can really find him. And that format works really well. I've had quite a few people test it. Okay, here we go. Hearing aid, Aussie Solar. I hate clicking the solar ads, you know, because usually like a damn LeadZook user.
That's great.
Yeah. So I used to do this thing where I used to be like, hey, you know what, beat this campaign. And I used to share like a campaign I ran into, and I would break it down. And I haven't done it in about a year, because every time I run into the campaign, I look at the page and I do the old right mouse click and see who's inside it. And I was like, oh crap, that's a LeadZook user. I can't show it.
That's great.
It puts me in a compromising position, because then I'll get a big nasty email saying, hey man, why are you showing my funnel? Let me see if I can quickly grab that. It's one of, maybe stop running it. Maybe it finally stopped working. Right, I see if I can find it. Okay, so what he does essentially is something like this, but that bit is sitting on the right hand side. It's got like, you know, what age are you or whatever. It actually floats with you. And so what it's doing, it's got the decision tree part with the lander itself. So there's no need to click off this to go somewhere. You just kind of a bit like this. You just kind of like, you know, start right away. That's sort of a process, and that's it. Yeah, and it well, doesn't take you to this. It takes you to more of a quiz style thing, and that I think is a good compromise for anyone who's doing advertorials, rather than building a specific advertorial just around you know, just around the story itself, and then you're clicking off. Usually you see that where it's an affiliate, because obviously they can't present the offer, so they have to present something to click off. And you would normally see a farticle, a very nasty farticle that has got, you know, how you can, you know, get rich in 22 seconds and all that sort of stuff. I'll see. There you go. Oh, there you go. Seniors health cover. That's the one, I think. That's him. Found him. This guy here. There you go. That format. I'll share it in the ad here. I'll share it in the comments. This format works really well. Because it just kind of like, I don't know what it does on a mobile, but this idea that it kind of sticks strong with you is super good. And this has been working for a very long time. It's been running for like about 5 years, I think. Same damn headline too. So yeah, it's almost limitless.
Did he pass?
So
Did he pass the? Because I remember you talking at one point about passing the headline into the landing.
No, he's not doing any of that.
Okay.
Yeah. But having said that, no, sorry. He is. Where is he? Where'd he go? Here you go. He's doing it this way. There you go. Price of loyalty. So what he's done is his ad. Okay, now, well, it's not. Why losing cover? And so the storyline is in price of loyalty, how losing hundreds by staying loyal. So there you go. He is matching the ad to the lander. Now he's not doing it like the trick I told you, but something very similar. He's obviously got 4 or 5 concepts. I guess let's find out what else they got. Here you go. Here's some research. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Site : let's get rid of this crap. All right. All right. Let's see what else is got. LP. Thank you very much. Okay, he's only running one. Okay, or none, or they're hiding it pretty well. So there you go. Maybe I'll do link. Let's see. There you go. A whole lot of people that have popped up. In terms of use, privacy policy, about us, and no. Okay, cool. So no, it doesn't have much linked there as at all. So what I can do is do another one, which is site : that, and see what we get. There's one for reward, pink chart. So anyway, yeah, this might reveal quite a few other landers that exist, but it seems LP is the one that they're using. So it looks like this is probably the current control that is running off native traffic. Now I would also test. So your first test should be actually this, directly to your DT and see how that works. You get your benchmark numbers. So you're like, hey, listen, that only did 5% or whatever. And then now go do this and see if this beats that initial one. Because what you don't want to do is go and needlessly put all this extra work, write copy, get the design done, all that sort of stuff. And you're like, oh shit, we should have just done it directly to our lander and it would just worked. So do that first, take the path of least resistance, because the debate is always by doing this, I might get high intent, but I lose a lot of people to get that intent. And I'm better off just taking them directly to something that looks, just with them to start. And as a result, I drop more on the other side of it. That's always the sort of two things you're comparing whenever you're doing this test.
Fair enough. Okay,
Yeah.
so this you're talking about the layout of this particular landing or pre-sale page, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So hooks along the lines of like, how are you getting robbed because you're saying loyal? Because obviously almost everybody has got their health insurance. So what they're trying to do is trying to pull you away from who you're currently with. And so therefore that's why the in fact, there was a solar guy that we were working with, and I said to him, he goes, oh, go solar. I said, well, what about those people who already have solar? Like, hasn't solar aged already? Like isn't like solar from like 5 years ago crap or whatever, 10 years ago? Should we replace it? Is that a angle? And so we did run some campaigns around there. The problem is very hard to differentiate between what it is. So yeah, so I'm not sure where the campaign went because it was just an ideation session that I had with someone. So really gotta understand like what the context is within which you're doing it. In Australia, because we pay more tax if we don't have private health insurance, which I believe would probably be in most countries. So as a result, if you're earning over a certain amount, then you're likely to already have health insurance. So by identifying someone who is on health insurance, already has health insurance, then they've already shown you that they're of a higher economic status, or they're a little bit more wealthier, and that's a good differentiator. So like you can even build a funnel around, let's say, I don't know, say dentistry, and say, do you have health insurance? Not because you care whether you got health insurance to pay for dental, but you just want to see whether he's got money to sell him on the high procedure. So that could be one way to differentiate the market.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Anytime, man. All right. Any other questions? Trev, Theo? Nope.
Hey,
Eddie.
Nick.
Yeah, go for it.
How are you seeing, or how do you? This is kind of random. When it comes to, let's say, I'll stick with home services, duplicate issues of consumers continuing to fill out forms. Have you seen that, and have you seen any ways in which to kind of solve that problem?
Sorry, what's the problem again? They're filling out
forms.
Yep. So you mean to say the same person fills out the form multiple times?
Potentially, let's say, they're filling out multiple forms from different advertisers, let's say, different marketers like ourselves, right?
Yep.
And so you can potentially run into issue of duplicate lead, things of that nature. And I was just wondering if you might have seen some insight
sure.
when it comes to like solar or some of these other verticals.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the ways to solve that, and this is something that an issue that came up for someone who's like, they were like scaling about, I think about 10 mil a month in ad spend or something. Obviously at that level, you're going to start running into duplicates. So what we did was we basically did this. So you submit your stuff. Let's say at the end of the form. Let's put it on this side here. And we were sending it to essentially a database of some sort. It was like a Google Sheet. So webhook to Google Sheets as the database. All right, so I'm just going to call this DB. And so what we would do at the end is we would, you would, after the form here, you would make another API call. So this is to the same database, and you would do a lookup. So I'm going to call this a lookup, right? Like so. And then the other one was actually a an update of the whole thing. And in between the two, there was a decision node. So in between the two was this one. So did the person exist in the funnel already? Right. So existing. Oh, let's just put a dupe. And this is, I'm just going to put something here. Call this dupe equals yes. Whatever. All right. So it was a condition that identified the return data that came back from the Google Sheet. It looked up the Google Sheet. It came back. It said, yep, cool. So you go to the form, they fill out whatever the phone number thing or whatever it was, come over to this to check with this dupe. If it's a dupe, then if it's no, then you update. If it's a dupe, then we basically take them down another pathway. And the pathway could just be that you are web hooking to a different client, or could be to a different funnel or to a different buyer or different whatever. So that way you don't have that issue with the duplicate in your primary funnel or the main buyer of it. Or you can have they actually have updated as to who the buyer was for that. And then you can alternate and make sure that you actually send it to somebody else. So let's say you have a team of 10 buyers, you don't send it to the person you sold previously to because they've already sold it there. So you go to the other 8 person. That was one way in which that was solved. The other one is if you find that it's fake, then I just shared something on a post inside the group on the various things you can do to identify fake data, as in if it's bots or something. And that was where we adding in a field and we change the color of the field to match the background. If it's a bot, the bot will fill it in, but a human being won't. So so then you put another condition there saying if that field is not blank, then kick it out because that's obviously a bot. And if it's not filled, then it's a human being and you let it through.
Interesting. Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Lots that can be done here, it looks like.
There's a lot of tricks.
Big time. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Anytime, man. All right. Any other questions? Well, there's no more questions. We'll call it a night. And same time, same place next
Are
week.
these recording available for us to rewatch?
Yes, yeah. So the leads are the recordings are getting posted, I believe, in the next day or two in the YouTube channel. And I'll make a post about it in the Facebook group, and we'll send an email about it as well to say that all the previous recordings are all up as well. Yeah, we've got a pretty pedantic designer. He wants to make sure everything's looking pretty. So anyway, that's not my style, but that's okay. You hire people to make things pretty because that's their job.
Cool. And like about the reference of the created soft poll, should we email you for that, or you want to post it in a group? You said you had some solution before.
Sorry. Could you repeat the question again?
Eric asked you earlier about a credit pool API for consumer.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. No, I've made a note of it. So let me go find the API, and then I'll just post it in the Facebook group.
Great. Thank you so much.
No problem, man. Anytime. Right, guys. Have a lovely evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, and we'll chat soon.